Hello everybody, it's Nick here with Nick Tolman Music, and today we are going to go ahead and continue our guitar lesson series using Hal Leonard Guitar Method Book 2. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at page 7 today. We're going to kind of continue on with some of the concepts that we've already been talking about, like syncopation, eighth rest, all those things, and we're just going to apply it to a few new exercises. So starting out, let's go ahead and take a look at exercise 22. And we'll go ahead and start off, I'll play that at 72 on the metronome. And then we'll go from there. So here we go. Here is exercise 22 at 72 on the metronome. 1 and 2 and ready and. All right, and obviously that's a really great little lick. If you know what it is, go ahead and leave it in the comment below. Very famous song that we're kind of playing around with a little bit right there. All right, so as we dive into this, really there's nothing too challenging other than really paying attention to the syncopation, right? 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 1, right? So kind of paying attention to where those ands are. I'm going to count that one more time with the metronome on so we can kind of get an idea here. We're getting that subdivision in our head. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 1. Right? Let's go ahead and bump that up. Take the metronome up to 120. We'll see what it sounds like right there. Here we go. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and ready and. All right, and there we go. There it is at 120. Great little exercise, great little riff for you to learn on the guitar. All right, let's hear what exercise 22 sounds like with some chords. Now, all these chords are chords that you should be able to play, so you can go ahead and follow. I'm going to do a rhythm that goes something like this. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and I think it'll fit nicely with this. So here we go. Here's exercise 22 with chords and melody at 120 on the metronome. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and ready and. And that's the idea. Obviously, you can loop that for as much as you want and really play around with that melody and make it a lot of fun. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at exercise 23 on the metronome. We're going to go ahead, or exercise 23, we're going to go ahead and bump the metronome back down to 72. And we're going to do a little more syncopation. So here we go. Here is exercise 23 at 72 on the metronome. 1 and 2 and ready and. There we go. Lots of notes on the ands, right? 1 and, and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, right? Here we go. Let's go ahead and bump that up. That one's going to be a little easier, a little faster. Let's go try it at about 100 on the metronome, see how it feels right there. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and ready and. Nice, another great guitar riff. If you've heard that guitar riff before, if you think you know where it's from, go ahead and comment below and tell me what you think. All right, so let's go ahead and add a little A minor chord to that. So here's what it sounds like with an A minor chord and that same riff. Here we go. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and ready and. All right, now you notice kind of what I'm doing there with the chord is I'm kind of mimicking the rhythm that's happening in the melody, right? And I'm doing a... And basically on the 8th rests, I'm just doing a dead strum down, right? And then kind of doing those up strokes on the ends of the beat to give that kind of syncopated feel. Right? It doesn't have to be just like that, but it's kind of a great little groove that can go along with it. All right, now I will just make one note on this one. When you're playing the melody, you have kind of a couple different options, right? Obviously, those first 2 notes are going to be down, up, right? Now, when you're doing all of those notes on the ands, if you want, you can do those all up strokes to help keep that syncopated feel. Right? You don't have to do that way. You can do them downbeats as well. Or you can do it, continue to alternate. And actually, it's not a bad idea to practice it in different ways and see if you can keep it in time with the different picking patterns. All right? Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into exercise 24. This is kind of the bulk of this lesson. This is Jamaica Farewell, and we'll kind of go ahead and dive in here. So starting off, we are going to go ahead and play it for you at 72 on the metronome, and then we'll kind of walk through it and then bump that metronome up, kind of like usual. But here we go. Here is exercise 24 at 72 on the metronome. 1 and 2 and ready and. Rest. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this. I mean, really, the biggest thing to look out for is the syncopation and just really making sure that we understand each of the rhythms, okay? Now, as you go through, sometimes what I like to do with my students in this exercise and other ones that have a lot of different syncopated rhythms is to kind of point out the different rhythms and being able to count them independently of playing them, right? So starting right out of the gate, that very first rhythm is 1, 2, and 4, and, right? 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and, right? Quarter, eighth, eighth, tied to a quarter, eighth, eighth. Now, if you look at the second measure, even though the notes are different, the rhythm is the same. 1, 2, and 4, and. Right? So as long as we've kind of internalized that rhythm, 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and ready, and. Right? That's the idea. Variations of that rhythm come back throughout the whole thing, okay? And so we'll kind of point that out. If you look down at like the third line, we have a very similar rhythm. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4. But it's really kind of that same feel, right? Fourth line, 1, 2, and hold. 1, 2, and 4, right? So that kind of feel 1, 2, and 1, 2, and kind of comes back a lot, all right? So that's the first two measures. We move into the third measure. It's just quarter, quarter, eighth, 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 eighth. Right, and now this rhythm right here, the first measure of the second line, 1, and rest. 1, and rest. That rhythm also comes back a lot, so I would pay attention to that, okay? Moving into the second measure, we just have a rest, eighth, eighth, quarter, eighth, eighth. Right, so fourth measure, or the third measure here on the second line, starts out with the same rhythm that we saw in the first measure of the second line. Right? But then we have some eighth notes at the end. Right? Nice. And those first two measures of the third line are very similar to the first two measures of the first line, like we already talked about. And we move on to the third measure of the third line. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and off, right? We talked about that rhythm. Right, so lots of repetition happening. Fourth line, we've got hold, F sharp, nice. And then this last line, we have a lot of eighth notes and a few syncopated things going on, so I would kind of just pay attention here. Right, so what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go down, down, up, down, up, right? Down, down, up, down, up. That kind of keeps our beats in the right direction with our down, up. Down, down, up, sorry. Down, down, up, down, up, 1, up, down, up, 1, and 2, and right? So I'm always kind of trying to keep the down strokes on the beat, and then the ands of the beats I'm doing with the up, right? Down, down, up, 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 down, down, up. All right? That's the idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and bump this up on the metronome. We're going to take it to about 104. It's going to be a nice tempo for this tune. Here we go. 1, 2, 1 and 2, and ready, and. Rest. let's go ahead and add some chords, and we're just going to keep it real simple, just down, up. Actually, I'm going to go a similar strumming pattern to what I did on exercise 22. Down, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, here we go. Here's chords and melody, exercise 24. 1, 2, or 1 and 2, and ready, and... And there we go. That's our lesson for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, feel free to leave any comments if you have any questions or otherwise below, and we will see you next time.